Hey guys, how y'all doing? My name is The Watching Relic, and we're reviewing Grennec. Why did I procrastinate so much about this video? I don't know. But come on, you all know by now, these reviews get posted long after the slideshows, and usually long after they're originally filmed. I mean, I'm filming this now and I'm already late on it. Who knows when it'll actually get up. But it's entirely my fault. It's entirely laziness. Grennec here is pretty freaking cool. I don't know why exactly. He's kind of like, he's similar to Devok for me, my mock Devok, in the sense that he's like objectively nothing special, but there's just something about him I really like. And I think he's a very successful example of a mock that's not complex, really, at all, but that has a really nice flow to him and actually has kind of the illusion of complexity, because there's a decent amount of greebling, and the torso specifically just has a lot of pieces. I mean, not necessarily in the internal structure, but just has a lot of stuff piled onto it, as you can plainly see. So there's one thing that you can't plainly see, and that is the weapon. This was clearly stated to me multiple times in the comment section of his slideshow. Nobody could see this weapon. It's not that special. There you go. You can see how it's built. And it's just two of these blade pieces on a big long stick. Let me just disconnect that. You can just see that there a little bit better. But yeah, I know it's a black weapon against a black background, but this guy against a white background is a big no-go. As far as the idea behind him being an albino goes, I literally just I wanted to use a sort of candy cane color scheme. I can't remember really what prompted it. I think all it was just the pieces I had available at the time. And I was thinking, you know, that'd just be really neat. And I looked up Bionicle Albino, Bionicle Albino Giant, and all the sort of titles for this guy. And I even looked up Albino Toa and all that kind of stuff. No one has done this, not even for like a creature. Even though albinism is like a cool thing, not even for any sort of Rahi mocks have I ever seen it. I couldn't find anything on the internet. Anywhere. So, from an originality standpoint, this is a very successful creation for me, and I really like that because one of my biggest problems is that I feel like my creations may be well built and may be well designed and objectively good, but they might not have a whole lot of, you know, they might not stick in people's memories, they may not stick out in a crowd of other mocks, but I feel like this guy does, and he has a lot of nice, just uniqueness to him. So let's just get right in here into the build. So the feet are big ol' Anika feet. They look pretty goobery on most mocks, but they really work well here because he's big. He needed big feet. And this mock is crazy stable. He has a surprising amount of pieces that can kind of fall off. Like, he's kind of delicate in that aspect, but as far as falling over is concerned, never gonna happen. Big feet, and every single joint, the ankles, the knees, and the hips, every single joint in the legs, and the elbows and shoulders as well, all have the little gray friction adder sockets on them. So this is a very stable mock. Not necessarily invincible, because again, there's a lot of pieces that can kind of come off, a lot of little delicate greebling, but as far as standing up is concerned, this mock is very, very solid. We have some little Borak eyes on the side of the feet. Just let's move on to the lower legs, because there's nothing really to say about the feet. The lower legs are neat. I like that they look like, I mean, that looks like a calf muscle. It just does. It has like the right shape to it. It's pretty wide from the back, but this guy maybe just has really big, bulky legs. He's a big, beefy, bulky dude. And that lower leg design, I just really, really love. Basically, it's just this big system kind of vehicle piece, boat piece type thing. And it's got some bricks and some little vents here, which, of course, have a nice diagonal slant to them. And then there's just a little translucent dark red cylinder piece right in there. And then that goes right in the middle of those four studs. And it fits in there nicely. And that's just a CCBS bone under there, which I'm sure you could already tell. Taking a closer look at the thighs, these are the only custom sections of any of the limbs. All of the other parts of the limbs are just CCBS, but these are actually a custom Technic-based design, and you can probably see it a little better if I... Oh, dude, really? That was necessary? Okay, sure. Anyway, his arms can't really go up, and I just made them go up. But if I take off this star foot, which connects at a couple points fairly solidly, you can kind of see how that's built, more or less. It's basically this hand connector with the extra socket for friction and length. That's the main reason for the friction adder sockets, for length more than anything else. Also, you need them for the knees to actually bend. As you can see, if you didn't have it on the knee, the socket would be too low, and this piece would just block it from bending. But with that little extender, it can actually bend very well. And that calf piece really wants to come off. And now his mask is coming off. Lovely! So, anyway, again, hand connector, then you got the little witch doctor light gray doodad. Then in there is one of those 3 long lift arms with the axle pins on the ends, or the axle pin holes on the ends, and then a normal pinhole at the opposite angle through the middle. And then that goes down to some 4 long half-thickness lift arms in red, which you can kind of see in there, which go down to a ball joint. And that's all that is, just a series of little lift arm connections. And in general, I mean, it works really well. The open socket is a little annoying, but it doesn't bug me that much anymore. I remember being really disappointed with these upper legs when I first built them. I remember really being annoyed by the fact that all I had around this area was the hero core. Now I don't mind it. I don't think that really looks bad. It's not like it's any less gappy than the lower legs. I mean, the lower legs have plenty of gaps in there too. They don't fit perfectly together. The torso is the one part of the MOC that is kind of the opposite of everything else. I'm actually not entirely happy with the way it looks, but pretty happy with how it's built. And there's one part of it that you might not even really think is that big of a deal when you look at it, but once you learn how it's built, it's like, it was like one of the first things I came up with for this torso design. And when I first came up with the torso, I remember being really proud of it, really excited to show all of my subscribers, because I actually, gosh, I guess when I started building this guy would have been just around the time I started this channel. In fact, a little bit before. He's been around for a while. Yeah, in fact, way before. Yeah, he's been up for a long time, but always have I been dissatisfied with him until now. That's why you're finally seeing him, because I finally got him to a version that I like. But one of the things that hasn't changed much is the torso. As you can see, it's just got a lot of armor. I love the Preston Stormer head as the cod piece, not for any symbolic reason, just because I think it looks nice. Nika piece in there. We have 3 feet in the chest. We have star feet, no, 1.0 hero feet, excuse me, on the side, and a Borak foot in the middle. And some little, Borak eyes, which look pretty nice. And then on the back, Metis's head is in there. We have the 2.0 Stormer skull cap on the butt. So Stormer is just the junk of this guy. Then we have this big light gray 1.0 Hero Factory thingy-majig in there. And as you can see, that little lift arm in there is actually broken right there. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but you kind of see the axle showing through because there's junk out of it. Oh well. But, oh gosh, there's so much nice about this torso. The way these things connect is just a friction connection. There's a little Technic piece going from the actual, whatever these are, Nuva shoulders. Great goodness. Then we have a little gear just stopping it from going all the way through what is, oh gosh, the piece that's actually like threaded through. I'm going to have to take off the arm to show. It's this system wheel well piece. You can just see the bottom of it here, but it goes up across the top too. It's just that this is covering it up. And that's really neat. It's almost like a transformer, like the arm coming through a wheel well. Like, I feel like that's kind of a thing in some of the Transformer live-action movie designs. I feel like I've definitely seen that, or at least it seems like the type of design you'd have for those Transformers, and that's pretty neat. But getting to the one part that I specifically was really proud of, just with the build, those Ben 10 tails and the tubes. Let me just have you follow me through the torso here. So you have these 2 tubes. They connect with this little piece. There's a rubber band, right? Okay, so the rubber band keeps them together. It also keeps the Ben 10 tails kind of together, but they don't really need it. So the rubber bands go up. Then they connect to the Ben 10 tails with these. And I'm calling those Ben 10 tails. They might just be tails. They might be from something else. I'm not sure if they were even on Ben 10. God, I'm just full of misinformation today. Or maybe I'm right. I don't know, but now I'm starting to really doubt myself. But anyway, so you have the little connection to the tail. Then the tail piece, or the tail pieces, connect to a 4 long half-thickness lift arm in red, which you can see poking out there, which goes under that little gap where the headgear would come through, or the goggles or whatever would come through on the 2.0 head. And that's how it's all connected. There's not a single pin or axle connecting that to the torso. You just have this thing pinned under there, and I don't mean pinned as in pins, I mean like trapped under there, the lift arm that is, and then the tail's coming off of that, connecting to the tubes, which come back and then are rubber banded into place down at the lower back. And that's just kind of neat. It's just neat that there's like this wraparound friction connection. It's like he's wearing suspenders or something, and it's kind of cool. As far as the arms and mask are concerned, I'm just going to cover these all at once, because like, unlike the legs and the torso, there's just nothing to say. I mean, the hands are nice, but they're nothing extraordinary. Then the arms are just entirely CCBS. You do have a little cone bit attached with a T-piece there, which is kind of nice. And earlier I mentioned that his arms don't really go up. As you can see, they don't really go up that far. I guess they go up further than I remembered. The shoulders are pretty limited because between the wheel wells, as cool as they look, and the frickin' Nuva shoulders, there's really... the shoulder joints are just really hindered. The mask... let me just zoom in on it. The mask is a funny story. I bought this specifically for this MOC, and in retrospect, I probably didn't need to. I had other heads I could have used. I have other white masks. Could have used a backwards witch doctor head. That looks kind of nifty. It looks like a face on the other side. And I even could have maybe used something else for armor and used the Metis head or the Preston Stormer head or something. You know, there were other options. But for some reason, I wanted a classic-looking mask on this guy. And, you know, instead of just using one I had or using the new Kopaka mask, which would have been new at the time, I'm talking about the original from 2015, the original G2 mask, not the silver version with the studs stuck in it and everything. You know, I could have used any number of things, but for some reason I went on Bricklink and ordered a few other things, but I was mostly on there just to order a white Kakama. And I don't even know why, but I just suddenly, out of nowhere, for no logical reason, had my heart set on this white Kakama for Grennec. And I just, there's no reason for it. I mean, it looks nice, and I still agree that a classic, just white Bionicle Kanohi mask was really a great way to go for this guy. It just aids to his really nice, just solid, Bionicle-esque aesthetic. Almost kind of, you know, as I said, a little bit Transformer-ish with the wheel wells and stuff, and just the amount of kind of, not necessarily greebling, but just the amount of, like, decent-sized parts all... Why are you not focusing? There you go. And just the amount of, like, decent-sized parts just piled onto each other across the torso, especially. But I think that's pretty neat. As far as color scheme goes, too, like, this guy's pretty freaking consistent. I like that underneath the translucent red and the tiny bits of Mata and Metru red, and, of course, the white, that it's all just light and dark gray. There is, obviously, some black pins, and there's also a black beam running through the torso, or a black lift arm, rather, a really long one. That's sort of the base of the torso, actually. But, you know, it just... I didn't have a gray one in the right length, and you can't see it. You can't see it at all. And I don't want to take apart the whole torso and swap it out. That would be an absolute nightmare. And as far as the overall look goes, for just the shaping, I love the torso shape. It's like a perfect human male torso shape of V. Like, this guy isn't even proportioned like a real human. He's ridiculously bulky, but he looks pleasingly proportioned. He looks proportional for his style. And I think a lot of that is the very just... not jumbled, not with things sticking out, but just nice, humanoid V torso. But anyway, oh, I forgot my size comparisons again! You know what, we're not going to include it this time, I'm going to cut. So anyway, here is Gresh, who's a lot shorter. Grennec is another fairly big MOC, not as tall as Vekor, not really even close. Vekor is a solid head or so taller. But nonetheless, he's a lot taller than normal and I could build. But anyway, here's Gresh, here's some minifigures. My name is The Watching Relic, that is Grennec, and I will see you all next time.